Welcome, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks Major League Baseball update. How's everybody doing today? We're live on Northeast Streaming Sports. We're live on TGI Sports Talk. We're live on Let's Talk Sports. We're live on Facebook, YouTube. Maybe not Twitter. I think I took that feed off. And we're also, I think, live on Northeast Streaming Sports Roku channel, which you want to download for free. I wanted to check it out. I wasn't able to pull it up on my office TV here, so hopefully somebody sees this and run over here and comment at the same time. Trying to get my picture better as we chit-chat. I think I missed got all my lights on. I don't know why we got the background isn't what I would like it to be. Let me play with it for 1 second. Hopefully everybody's doing well. We got a lot to talk about today. That's making it worse. We got a lot to talk about. Major League Baseball races coming down to the wire. 9 games left, I think everybody has roughly. This is really annoying me. Yeah, whatever. Not our best picture, but it'll have to do for today. We'll find out what our issues are here. My issues go deeper than this, obviously. Let's try that. Anyway, 9 games left. The American League East tightening up, staying tight. With the American League West, tight as tight can be. The NL Central has been decided since we lost, pretty much decided since we last chatted. The NL wild card has gotten crazy. Even the Padres are alive. Now 4 games back with 9 to go. That's a long ways to make up. You got a few teams in front of you. I did predict the Cubs. I think we talked about it here last week. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Scott Cody asked me what I thought. And I thought that the Cubs would fall out of the race and the Marlins would get that last spot. So we'll see how that goes. John is telling me we are live on Roku, so that's good. I was having trouble. That's Mac McGrath, by the way. Good to know. Yeah, so a lot has transpired since we last chatted, and some of my predictions have come true. It's easier to predict when you get towards the end of the season than earlier on. We'll go through the standings, and I'll give you an update on where I started this and where I ended it, or where I'm ending it. And anyway, we're not doing too bad when you think about it. Good afternoon, Drew. I'm a little washed out. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I'm playing around with the lighting. We'll do this. This will give me a nice bright look today. See, it's the background that's messed up on me today, Drew. I don't know what's causing that issue. Oh, maybe this will cause it. I bet you that's what's causing it. Something as simple as that. A little better. Not great, but a little better. You know, the thing is, everything you get in the background here, something causes an issue. And I probably have missed. It's such a fine little thing. I probably have messed it up. So anyway. Trying to get our wits about us here. Let me turn this off. So this will give us a little better get out of that. Yeah, there we go. So we should get a smoother feed anyway. So we're going to get that pixelation in the background probably. Anyway. Distracted. It's like the Stream of Consciousness show today. Welcome, everybody that's watching us wherever you're watching us today. I think the buffering I fixed, Drew. Thank you for that. I had another meeting going at work that I never closed. So that'll do that. And a wild card is a baseball version of Thunderdome. Good call there, Drew. Listen, I'm pretty happy with where I'm not terribly unhappy with my predictions for the beginning of the year. I'm not terribly unhappy with the predictions that I've made as this month of September has gone on. And Drew, we'll have you on. We'll have you on, and we'll recap our picks at some point. I seem to have lost my picks again. I had them forever stuffed behind my notepad, and now I seem to have lost them again. Whatever, not a big deal. Lots to talk about. I mean, we talked about a lot of this stuff the last few weeks. Yankees and Mets playing out the string, but I think have played fairly inspired baseball most of the time. Again, they have not packed it in, and, gotten their golf clubs ready for the long winter. I do still feel like I have some buffering going on where I'm looking at it. Hopefully you guys are not seeing that. Again, I don't know what the Roku stream will do to our regular stream. It's been a while since I've been on Roku, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm sure Mac will keep me updated on how the quality was. We'll mess with that. You see the little pixelation. I guess it's over here behind my microphone. At least for me, it is. I must have changed one little thing behind me. Okay. Anyway, your topics, my topics. Let's do this thing, guys. Lots of stuff going on. Let's just go through the. Let me get to last night's scores real quick, and then we'll go on to the standings and some other news around baseball. The Yankees 5-3 over the Blue Jays yesterday. Garrett Cole, I think, cemented the AL Cy Young Award. We talked a little bit on the Mac and Jack show this morning, too, about his ability to opt out after next year. And if you've watched me enough, you know how I feel about long-term contracts and the ability to opt out. I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's something that needs to be a practice that these teams need to get away from. You can't give players everything. Long-term security and the ability to opt out when you think your contract is now obsolete. It's terrible. I'm okay locking guys up. Take your security and leave me alone until it's over. We don't know that, though. A lot could depend on how the direction the Yankees take here in this next year. And we still don't know how that's going to go. But he pitched 8 outstanding innings last night. And the Yankees, as I said, playing spoilers. Blue Jays in the middle of this wild card hunt in the American League, which we'll get into in a second. The jumble of teams fighting for 3 spots, probably 2 spots. The Rays are locked in. The Rays did win over the Angels last night, 5-4. The Cardinals lose to the Brewers, who now have pulled away in that National League Central. That division is basically over. I told you the Cubs would fold. It took them longer than I thought, but they did fold. Let's check this. Am I still got to say no? I do not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut my teams down altogether and see if that helps. Where else? The Braves continue to roll. Albies gets his 100th RBI. Acuna scores his 140th run. Olsen extends his Braves record to home runs to 53. Max Fried leaves this game injured, though. We'll have to keep a close eye on him as we head towards the playoffs. 10-3, they win this game over the Nationals. The Orioles lose to the Guardians. So the Rays have picked up a game on them. They lose to the Guardians 5-2. The Phillies beat the Mets 5-4 as Castellanos drives in 4. He's had a much better year this year for the Phillies than he did last year. The Pirates have played gamely down the stretch. Mark Mancini, your team's terrible, though. I'm sorry. They're still terrible. Get off the LA teams. We all want to drive ratings. We all want to drive viewers. The Dodgers have had a great year. You'll jumped on the Padres when your Pirates were in the crapper the last couple of years. And they've done nothing either. They got to the NLCS last year with a decent stretch drive and a good playoff drive to get there, but lost to an inferior Philly team. Well, I'm going to be interested to see, Mark, where you jump this year. The Athletics lose again. The A's let me down. They've lost about 8 in a row now. They let me down. I'm chasing that 121 loss mark. Still got a shot at over 110 at least. So, and the Dodgers, as I just mentioned, beat the Giants. The Giants are finding a way to stay in there, but they're kicking the ball everywhere. Yesterday, they had all kinds of physical errors and mental errors that really cost them this game. Not a good way to go. And, I'm not a huge Gabe Kapler fan. Gabe Kapler. Almost said Gabe Kaplan fan, but, this is the kind of thing that fundamental baseball, guys. This is what wins and loses championships still, even in the era of baseball that we play in now. Linda McGrath. I don't know if this is Linda or Mac, but this is sounds more like Mac. Better than my NFL picks. 2-6 so far. I'm only 2 games out of first there, Mac. Game out of second. Thank you, though. So it looks good on Roku. That's good. Maybe we're not seeing this pixelation. The TV I've got here in my office when we moved a couple months ago, I've got TVs everywhere here. TVs that were in this home. It was only 2 years old. We had them leave the TVs on the walls. So I've got about 7 extra TVs now. And I didn't know I didn't have the Roku downloaded on this one. I wanted to just check it out. Probably would have screwed up my feed anyway. Let's get into the standings right away. Well, let me check out the rest of Drew's got some comments here. We'll get those. Injuries are closing out a few players' regular seasons. Wilson, Contreras, yes. Fried giving up all the fingers. Yeah, we'll see whether Fried, he'll get a few days. He'll get some time to rest. The Braves aren't going to play in the first round. He'll not pitch again in the regular season. But injuries this time of year are tough. And Sean Doolittle, I really thought he retired about 5 years ago. Probably should have. Around the standings, and we'll look at the series that are being played this weekend a little bit. We'll look at some of the news around Major League Baseball. We'll elaborate on some of it if we feel the need. And you guys obviously can bring your topics to the table as always. The American League East, not a lot has changed since we chatted last. The Tampa Bay, a game and a half behind the Orioles. The Orioles with 95 wins, still with a shot to get to that magic 100 mark. What a great story they are. They have also, of course, locked up a playoff berth, if not the division. The division will be next. The Blue Jays are next back at 10 back, but they're also still in the wild card hunt, right in the thick of it, as we said. The Blue Jays right now hold that second spot with a half-game lead over the Rangers and the Mariners, who are tied for that third spot. Yankees not officially eliminated, but they are 7.5 out. They could be eliminated as soon as tonight. The Red Sox have been eliminated and have really gone, unlike the Yankees and the Mets, who I've given some credit. I even gave some credit to Aaron Boone. The Yankees have played hard down the stretch. Not a lot to play for. This 30-year stretch of finishing over 500, I think, is something that the organization has some pride in, trying to chase the record. And the major sports record is 39 seasons in a row, I think, by the Montreal Canadiens, if I'm not mistaken. But the Red Sox, on the other hand, have just tanked it. They're ready to play golf. 2-8 in their last 10. They've fallen 3 games under 500. And the Yankees are positioned not to finish last. That's a big deal. The Twins can officially wrap up the Central tonight with a victory. They're 9 games over 500, 8.5 ahead of the Guardians. Still trying to figure out what the Guardians were doing. And again, I know it didn't cost them a lot of money. It cost about $3.5 million to claim the guys on waivers that they did around September 1st, if you remember. Giolito and Hunter Renfroe, maybe a couple other guys. Very strange moves. Unlike the Reds, who I think made a smart move getting Bader. The Guardians were basically eliminated. I think they figured, $3 million more, we'll throw at this and see if we can catch the Twins. They were maybe 5 games back at that point, but they've fallen 8.5 games behind. The Tigers, listen, a respectable finish by the Tigers, 6-4 in their last 10, 9 games under 500. 500 would have been a really good spot for the Tigers, I think, this year, and they're going to fall short of that. The White Sox just finishing out a horrible year, trying to avoid 100 losses. They've got 95 now, 3-7 in their last 10. I would not bet against them not getting to 100, if that made sense. Maybe an awful lot of negatives in there. And the Royals, the Red Hot Royals, have won 3 in a row, 7 out of their last 10, and are running away from the A's in the chase for the running away in a good sense. The A's could be running away in the other way, as they're 2-8 in their last 10 for the worst record in baseball. Well, 8 in a row, as I said earlier. KC finally decided to let the A's suck the worst, as Drew says here. I'm disappointed in the A's. The A's had to have a hot streak. The A's right now, I mean, they could still lose if they split. If they were to split, what do they got left? They got 9 games left. You can't split 9 games out. Let's just say they go 4-5. They go 50 and can I do the math? 50 and 112. That's pretty bad. And but for a couple of mini hot streaks in the middle of the season, this team would be chasing 121 losses. Can't believe they let me down this way. The top of that division is much more fun to talk about from a baseball standpoint. Although those types of things interest me to no end. No GM will play. It's interesting. They fired Bloom, as we talked about last week. I don't know where they're going to go. Drew thinks they're going to have trouble finding a GM. Look, there's plenty of guys out there to take the job. Maybe the Yankees will fire Brian Cashman, let him go down there to Boston and instill that launch angle and exit velocity mantra that we have to preach in the minor leagues. Please get these guys out of New York, would you please? I know Cashman's he's still here for another season. I think Boone is done, but. Anyway, let's get to this. The American League West is a great race. The Astros, who I picked I said the Astros and the Mariners would rule this division. The Rangers weren't ready, would finish under 500. That part is definitely wrong. But the Rangers are running away with this division. Not running away quite, but we're in charge of this division for months and months and months. And then fell on hard times and battled back. Won 3 in a row again. 2 in a row again. Now 6-4 in their last 10. They're exactly tied with the Mariners. It's going to be very interesting. I'm not sure how the tiebreaker is going to work here. And maybe it won't matter, but there's a good chance that it will. Because right now the Blue Jays are ahead of both of them. Rays aren't getting caught. Maybe something that Drew can check out for us while we're chatting up some other stuff. I'm sure the tiebreaker stuff is in play. I'm sure they're going to play a game. So very interesting to see what's going to happen here. Maybe we'll take a look at the schedules the rest of the way out for these teams as well before we leave the standings. The Angels, listen, they're just playing out the string, as are the Athletics we talked about. The Angels going to be very interesting to see what they do in the offseason. Ohtani already done having surgery soon, if he hasn't already, on his arm. Not full-blown Tommy John surgery, though. Basically strengthening the tendons and a little bit of other repair work, but not full-blown Tommy John surgery. He's not going to pitch next year, he has said. He'll pitch in 2025 and only hit next year. Remember, this guy doesn't have a position either. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe we'll take a look here in a second. Let me get through the comments here, and we'll. Drew's got the Tigers have some very nice kids playing the field. They really need some arms to complement them, though. Yeah, and one of the best arms they have is definitely going to be going in the offseason in Rodriguez. A lot of talk about him and the Red Sox, the Orioles. Please don't come to New York. Please don't come to New York. CA, good afternoon, buddy. Good to have you with us. Getting good reception of the YT and Major League Baseball Network. Cubs up 1-0 in the bottom of the third. We got a live game going. Let's put that on so we can keep an update on that through this hour if we can. Where's my scoreboard? There's my scoreboard. Let's move it to today. We'll be looking before we move on to the National League. If Drew hasn't already, he hasn't. We're going to look at the contenders' schedules the rest of the way out. So we'll look at the Orioles and the Rays fighting for the division title there, and we'll look at the teams fighting for the wild card. Interesting, all the kids the A's have brought up aren't doing much. Pretty sure the move to Vegas won't. No, no. Listen, Moneyball. Just watch I just rewatched Moneyball again. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. It's a great movie. Check it out. The A's have taken Moneyball to the wrong extreme. Billy Bean's not there running the show. Moneyball is very hard to make work today unless you have talent to go along with it. You need to develop and keep your young talent. This is what the Diamondbacks have done. This is what the Orioles have done. This is what the Rays continue to do. They move guys out. They got more guys just to bring up to replace them. Next man up. Look at the injuries they've had. Anyway, the A's are the A's. Let's look at these remaining games that matter for the teams that matter. For the Orioles, who, as we know, have a 1.5 lead here. Let's see, am I at the? All right, they got the Guardians tonight. Where? How come I can't see them all? Let's see them all. Maybe that was the Guardians. Full schedule. I guess I got to hit. All right, this will give me everything we got left for the Orioles. So here's what they got left. They got 3 with Cleveland till Sunday. They got 2 with Washington, 4 with Boston. Without even knowing Tampa Bay's schedule, I'm going to say right now, advantage Orioles. Let's see real quick what the Rays got left. Full schedule. I think I heard thunder or my wife fell down. Yeah, well, they got 3 with Boston, but that's sandwiched in between 3 games remaining with Toronto this weekend, and they finish up with Toronto next weekend. Toronto, who's going to be fighting tooth and nail most likely for a wild card spot. I would say the Orioles have the advantage there. And, well, while we're on it, let's look at the wild card race. Or the here we go. So again, we know that the Blue Jays have the Rays. They got the Yankees who are playing hard, and they got Tampa Bay. So again, 2 teams, one fighting for the division, locked up in a wild card, another fighting for the wild card. They're in it now, playing each other 6 times in the last 9 games, with the Yankees sandwiched in between. That's very interesting. To see what happens there. Looking at the American League West, if I can get back to it, I probably should have just, this would be much easier. Keith, why don't you just do that? The American League West, the Astros. Who do the Astros have left? Interesting. A half game lead right now over the Mariners and Seattle. They got 3 games with Seattle. They finished a series with Kansas City this weekend, 3 games. They finished with Arizona. Don't like this playing interleague games the last weekend of the season, but they got 3 with Seattle. That could determine the division. It could determine the wild card. It could determine a lot of things. But outside of Kansas City, I'm okay if I'm the Astros this weekend, because you got all on the road, 6 games on the road at Seattle, at Arizona. Not an easy path for the aforementioned Astros. Still my pick to win the division, win the American League, and beat the Braves in the World Series. Not dead yet. Who did I just click on? The Mariners. Huge weekend in Texas. 3 games with Texas this weekend, then 3 with Houston, then 4 with Texas. These are probably the games that will determine the West and determine the American League wild card. 9 games, 6 at home. 3 on the road at Texas this weekend. At home, 3 games with Houston, and on the road for 4 to finish up the season with Texas. That is why this is the best race in baseball right now, because they're all playing each other a lot too. which we don't get a chance to see with the ridiculous balanced schedule that we put in. And the Rangers, besides having Seattle bookend in the middle of the week, or the beginning of next week, I should say, they get the Angels. They, again, good place to make some hay to give yourself a little cushion heading in there. So I think that pretty much covers, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to cover the American League races, because the wild card races, we covered all the teams that have a chance. The Rays are in. They got a 9-game cushion. You've got a half game separating the Blue Jays, the Rangers, and the Mariners. 3 teams, 2 spots. They play each other a bunch. Who do you give the edge to here? Blue Jays have it tough. I'm going to say again, the Astros win the division. The Mariners and the Blue Jays get in. The Rangers go home. Key time. We're going to find out right now. Where's Alan Perales? Why don't you show up to defend your Rangers? We're going to find out what the Rangers are made out of. Right? 7 out of 9 games. Is that right? Did I say that right? I just had it up, Keith. Is it 7 out of 9? Can't be 7 out of 9, can it? How can it be 7 out of 9? It must have 10 games left. They must have 10 games left, because they got 3 with the Angels to start the week. Yeah, they've got 10 games left. So 7 out of 10 games are against the Mariners these last 2 weeks. Can't ask for more than that, man. If we got to have extra wild cards, at least they're exciting. Don't like them, but at least they're exciting. We'll take a look at the National League here. Let's see if we got any comments real quick before I move on. I'm sure we got a few here. Season series breaks the tie. Does it? Yeah, I'm not going to see that. I can't pull that up very easily, I guess. Well, again, whatever the season series is, it could seriously swing this last week for sure. What do you got here? John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. Guys, I tell you all the time, get over there. Check out John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, one of the great groups out there. Lets us share our podcast. Great content. Do you want to see some nostalgic stuff and contemporary? Sports Authorities is a place to be. John does a great job over there, John. Congrats, and keep up the good work. John says it's unbelievable. The Rays with no talent, no fans, keep being relevant. Makes no sense. Great call. That wraps it up. Well, they do have some talent. But here's a team who's lost nearly their entire starting pitching staff. They lose their best player because he's a moron and may never play Major League Baseball again. If you're wondering, I'm talking about Wander Franco. If you're wondering why, look it up, because I don't feel like talking about it more here. Freaking knuckleheads, all these guys. So, yeah, they overcome injuries every year. They overcome trades. They overcome, lack of play, a good play by some of their key players at different times. They've traded away stars, and they keep on winning. No fans. Tampa, you know what? You got a great team there. You don't support them. You don't deserve a team. At least the A fans got a reason to stay home. Their team stinks. Major League Baseball ought to be taking your team away. I know it's a horrible facility, but they should be taking your team away. I'm sorry. Support them, and then I'm not going to cry for you. I'm not crying for Oakland. Oakland didn't support their team when they were winning world championships right and left in the 70s, and they support them a little bit better in the 90s. John agrees with me about the Astros. Good man. Drew, Texas and Seattle schedules are killers. Well, at least it's the same. They're playing each other. See, Texas gets a little breather in there with Anaheim. And obviously will be definitive. Astros have the better one of the three. I agree. That's why I like the Astros to win here. Because the best thing to happen to the Astros is, all they got to do is whatever. win 2 more than they lose, 1 more than they lose, and these two teams go 3-4, 4-3, one way or the other, good for the Astros. Somehow I see the Braves stumbling into play. I do. I see them stumbling in the series against the Astros is where I see them stumbling. We'll get to the National League in a second after I get through your comments here, and we'll move on. On a football note, John does see my Pats winning on Sunday. They own the Jets. 14 in a row, my friend. Somehow they're favored. How they're favored going into the Meadowlands is beyond me. But I will. I do like my Pats this weekend. We won't spend a lot of time on that, though. We will Sunday, though. Drew doesn't think the Braves will stumble too much. No, I don't think they'll stumble till the World Series. One might have issues. Only might have issues if they face the Dodgers, which I don't think they can in the first round. Well, they'll both have a bye, right? I would think. As they move to the National League. Yeah, they're both going to have a bye, so they can't play each other until the NLCS, I would think. Trying to look at this logically. Devil Rays, you can't say that. We had to take Devil out of the Rays name, if you remember, CA, years ago, because we're offending all of the Devil worshipers out there, so we could not use that any longer in their name. So they're just the Rays. But why, again, give a new ballpark. Are people going to come? I have my doubts, dude. I know the ballpark's bad. You got a great team. You don't support them. You want a new ballpark. Let's just give them one. Who's putting the money up too, CA? Taxpayers paying for it? Sure they are. One privately funded stadium that I can think of in all of sports these days. I may be missing one. I know in the NFL there's one. Right up there in Foxborough. Guys can make money hand over fist and keep their hand out waiting for money. I'm talking to you, Buffalo Bills. Drew, Rays have tons of talent. They have a system of pitchers. I'm talking about the talent that goes down myself. I won't speak for John. I'm talking about the talent that goes down or leaves town year after year. So, yes, they're replacing talent with talent, but it's always would appear that talent has got to rise to the ability of the talent that went away or got hurt. And I don't care how much you've got in your minor leagues. And the Dodgers are a testament to this too, Drew, as we've talked about before. You lose you lose all your starting rotation almost. And you just bring up guys to replace them, and you're still going to win 95 to 100 games. Good for you. Yeah, and again, the system for pitchers that they have is part of what is ruining the game of baseball. Just an FYI. Yes, it's good for them. They keep winning. That's wonderful for them. But the game of baseball continues to suffer based on specialized aces and openers, and don't get me going. The talent in the front office is very good, without a doubt. Kevin Cash, too, is another one. I talk about this a lot. Kevin Cash is a good manager, but I just don't like him. So many little spats with the Yankees over the last 4 or 5 years. The CC Sabathia thing. Always chirping about, pitching too close inside, and then bringing a cachet of 100-mile-an-hour throwers out of his bullpen and knocking the Yankees off the home plate all day, and then cry when we retaliate. Hate the guy. New ballpark will only sit 35,000. Smaller ballparks are a bit in vogue, especially in baseball now. Better it fit 35,000, John, than fit 70 and have 35 in it every day. I'm not confident they're going to get 35. What are they averaging now? Take a quick look and see if I can find out. Good topic today. Tampa Rays attendance. Let's see. That's more fun on TV than watching me type. They had a spike in attendance this year. Good for them. MLB Major League attendance. Here we go. Tampa Bay is number 27. They average 17,000. No, that's not right. Is that the average? I don't know what the bean count means here. They've drawn 1.3 million this year. Better than I thought. Average 22,000. That's a little spike from where they were a couple of years ago. Oakland, to give you some context, leaving town, 800,000 they've drawn this year. They got 4 more home dates and averaging 18,000. I can remember in the 70s in Oakland when they were winning back 3 championships in a row, World Series in a row, and they'd have 4,000 or 5,000 people in there on a weeknight. What'd I say, Meadowlands? Sorry, John. John works at MetLife. My bad. I've lost my sponsorship now at MetLife, probably. Thank you, John, for straightening me out there. Tons of talent. They are, John, I can't look at. We can nitpick that individually, these guys are not great players. Collectively, they are. Look at their records over the years, John. Not Kevin Cash. This guy's not freaking, I'm trying to, Tony La Russa, the good Tony La Russa, reborn. So, I look at collectively, they're a talented group. One of the, and again, there's reasons I hate the Rays. There's reasons I love the Rays. They play baseball. A lot of times they can play small ball better than other teams, which takes away the talent factor. Look at the Yankees. There's talent, not as much as there should be for the money being paid, but they don't know how to play the game of baseball. The Rays do. Now, I may not like the way they train their pitchers, but that's just that. They only draw fans when the Yankees are in town. The Yankees do boost attendance, but that's only, I don't even know how many what is that, 8 games now? They'll pack the stadium when the Yankees are there. By the way, the Orioles for years, the Orioles would get their attendance would be boosted by Yankee fans as well, because you want to go watch the Yankees, it's a lot cheaper. It's a little ride to Baltimore, but the game tickets, you can sit behind a dugout for what you can sit in the nosebleeds for at Yankee Stadium. Not Meadowlands Life, close enough. It's in the Meadowlands. I'm gonna write. Listen, it's New Jersey and it's a swamp. What do you want from me? It's not New York Life. I know that. Sorry, John. John's got to go to work there, so he can't bash where he works. Yes, I assume MetLife insurance. Well, good. How about they become the New Jersey Jets and Giants then, by the way? I shouldn't say anything. My team doesn't even have they represent an entire region, so. Where was I? Jeez, I got myself so worked up here over nothing. Let's get to the National League, shall we? Time we got. Wow, time is flying. National League East. Obviously, the Braves wrapped this up well over a week ago, I think now. They've got a 14-game lead. All these divisions are over. Phillies, it's the races for the wild card. Right now, the Phillies control the first wild card. The Cubs, Marlins, Reds, I think we'll take a look here. I think the Reds have fallen back. No, the Reds are still there. And the Diamondbacks all fighting for the last 2 spots. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Not much to talk about other than the wild card here, because the Brewers have now pulled 8 games, ahead of the Cubs, who've gone into a tailspin, which I predicted since the All-Star break, and I'm finally right. I said even a week ago when I think they had a 2.5 game lead, maybe still in the wild card, that they would blow that last wild card spot, and it would be I called the D-backs, the Marlins, and the Phillies. So the Cubs do remain, they're falling now just 5 games over 500. Going to be very interesting what this team does as well. Tons of free agents sitting on this team. Stroman, Bellinger, some key players to see what this team does in the offseason. I didn't like the way they put this team together. They played better than I did, or everybody else was just bad enough to keep them around, which is probably more likely. The Reds continue to play over where I thought they'd be. Drew called this a lot closer than I did. Hanging in there. Both the Cubs and the Reds have lost 2 in a row. And as we were talking about earlier, the Cubs have now extended their lead over the Rockies to 3-0 today. So big game, not 2 big teams, unfortunately. And the Pirates, they're playing game baseball, but they're the Pirates. This team's never going to win. And out west, the Dodgers, great job I said, what a great job by the Rays and Kevin Cash. I hate to praise him, but staying in the race with the plethora of injuries and drama going on. The Dodgers, they started out the whole season. They lost their starting shortstop, Gavin Lux, before the season even started. They lost all their starters from all or parts of the season. They lost Walker Buehler for the entire season. They've lost Urias now for other reasons, but they still managed to be 13 games in front, 13 and a half games in front, still with a shot to win 100. And the Diamondbacks, after a big lull, where they fell almost to 500. I want to say they fell to 500 or a game above, and they've come back to be 9 games over 500. They've won 5 in a row now. And right now are in charge of one of the wild card spots. Interestingly enough, the Giants are slipping again, 3-7 in their last 10. They're a game under 500. Out of nowhere come the Padres, winning 7 in a row, 8 of their last 10, and they're only 4 games back. Do I think they can do it? 9 games with 4 games to go is a lot. We'll look at the schedules. I don't think they play any of the teams in front of them. So right now, we've got the Braves locked in, the Brewers locked in, the Dodgers locked in. I would say the Phillies are locked in. So you got the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, the Cubs, and the Reds, and the Giants and the Padres. So we got to look at all these schedules, I guess. Good grief. Diamondbacks, we know part of their schedule, as they're going to play the, I don't remember who it was now. I think Seattle. The Diamondbacks the rest of the way out. They right now hold that second spot. They have the Cubs. Oh, wait a minute. That's too far out. My bad. They got the Yankees this weekend. They've got the White Sox. They've got Houston to finish the season. Yankees have played some, decent baseball, trying to finish this season out with some respectability. So I give them some credit. These won't be easy games for the Diamondbacks, as I said. So not easy. Marlins. So the Diamondbacks have a 2-game lead over the Marlins, and the Cubs a half-game lead, who have a half-game lead over the Reds. Let's see what the Marlins have. Put your comments up, and we'll look at them here in a second. I want to look at the Marlins and the Cubs at least before we grab those comments. They've got the Brewers, who don't have a lot to play for. That helps them. The Mets and the Pittsburgh. I'm saying right now, advantage Marlins. Let's see who's next on our hit parade. The Cubs, who are tied with the Marlins right now. Dead heat. Right now, advantage Marlins. They might even catch the Diamondback. They've got the Rockies the rest of this weekend. They've got the Braves, nothing to play for, but record. And the Brewers. 2 teams it would appear not much to play for, except tuning themselves up for the playoffs. So that might play into the Cubs' hand a little bit. Let's look at the rest of these since we're quick. Then I'll go back to, I want to look at the Reds. I'm telling you right now, the Giants are out of it, but we will look at their schedule. This is Who's this? Too funny. Reds. Pittsburgh. 3 with Pittsburgh this weekend. Cleveland. St. Louis. I don't know. Maybe I should give the advantage to the Reds. Right now, Reds and Marlins, schedule-wise, would appear to have an advantage. Let's look at the Giants and the Padres for the hell of it. Giants 3 games out of that last spot right now. Dodgers, Padres. Well, the Padres can clean up the business there, and the Dodgers. 9 games against the Dodgers and the Padres. Guess what? Giants are all done. They could spoil the Padres season, though. Padres are really going to need to, I don't know. They may need to go 8-1 here to have any shot. Maybe 9-0. Too many teams ahead of them. Let's just see what their schedule is. We know they got the Giants in the middle of it. They're going to finish up this weekend with St. Louis, the Giants, and the White Sox. Well, you know what? So the chances of the Padres sweeping this are much better than anybody else, right? And if they were to sweep this, I'm not good at math, so we'll get to your comments here in a second. If they were to sweep let's just say just for giggles, they win 17 games in a row. Sorry, 16 games in a row, which would mean their last 9 and they won their previous 7. It would put them at 84 wins. The Diamondbacks would have to win 3 out of 9 to tie them. Let's just say they win 7 and go 7-2 the last 9. Stay hot. That only gets them to 82 wins. Diamondbacks need 1 win. The Marlins need 3 to tie that. Cubs need 3 to tie that. Reds need 3 to tie that. Too much. There's not enough season left, and they don't deserve to be there anyway. In my mind. Oh, Don Play wants some. Now, where were you last night or Wednesday night during the college football huddle? I'll give you a quick. It's the MLB update, Don, but I will hook you up. I got to go find my last comment here. Meadowlands. There we go. Here's our last one. Little Cub Suzuki clubbing 2 for 2 with with a homer and 3 RBIs today. I've been really impressed with him coming from Japan. Expected a little more. Maybe it's the team. You're right. It is built on a swamp. I really wonder why they haven't dug up Hoffa when they tore down the old Meadowlands Stadium. I'm sure they would have found him there in the north end zone. Ray slogan should be, this is Drew. We don't need no stinking stars. We just win. Always. Yeah, they're you know what? I have found them to be very annoying. A gnat I can't get rid of. I probably look good on TV. John sees Milwaukee versus Houston in the World Series. You know, I learned my lesson with Milwaukee. And by the way, Craig Counsell, his contract is up. He's likely done with the Brewers after this year from everything I can read. Could be the Jets. It could be the Jets. Could be maybe the Jets will hire him too. That could be the Mets manager next year. Could be the Yankee manager next year. Could be the Brewers manager next year. He could sit out a year. Who knows what's going to happen with him. I learned my lesson, though. I had a trendy pick with Milwaukee last year because of their pitching. There just never is enough hitting there. So we'll see what happens. We got Don Play. How are you, buddy? Don's going to ask me for a college football pick here in a second. Guaranteed. The Braves are known as lay big eggs. And now, in fairness, they did win the World Series 2 years ago, John. But, hell, for years, when they won 12 or 14 division titles in a row, they won 1 World Series. But they did win, 2 years ago. Just look at last year, all those times in the postseason, they won 2 World Series. You're right. Yeah, Bobby Cox, those great Bobby Cox teams won one. Best pitching in all of baseball. Pretty good lineups, too. Couldn't win anything. What can I help you with today, Don? NC State versus Virginia. We're going to do a quick college football break here for a second to give John a pick. Make sure you tune in, Don. By the way, much better profile picture today. Sorry, buddy. Tune in next Wednesday at 7. These picks will be more relevant. NC State versus Virginia. Should you take NC State -4 in the first half or full game minus? Look, I think you can take both these bets, to be honest with you. Virginia's not any good. Virginia is coming off that tragedy last year with players and some other students being killed, tragically shot and killed on a trip. They, in a lot of ways, them getting on the field at all this year because they didn't finish the season last year as a victory. And I feel like this team's got a long ways to go before they're competitive again. North Carolina State played much better than it looked against North Carolina or Notre Dame a couple of weeks ago. Much better than the final score. Always well coached. They're at home. I don't know if they're at home or not. I'm going to tell you, you can take both those bets. I should bet everything I give Don. Sat Tucker tonight. You sat Kyle Tucker tonight for Suzuki. Good call there, buddy. In the finals of your fantasy league, Drew beat me out by 1 game. I did figure that out. Listen. Over in this game. Take the over here in this game. That game's tonight. A lot of Mountain West games are on Friday nights. Take the over in that game, Don. Drew, the Braves have a history for not closing the deal. Pretty sure none of their players are looking at that and saying, hey, we got to keep this choking thing going every year. Every year is different, and every team has a shot at a short series. True. And this team has actually nothing to do with the Bobby Cox teams. And this team's record is better because, it's maybe 4 trips to the playoffs, and they've got a World Series victory to show for it. Don's got a Major League Baseball tonight. Atlanta and Washington under 9 tonight. Who's pitching in that game? Let's find it. Let's see if we can help Don out with the pitcher in this game. Don's become my favorite guy. Who is it? Atlanta and Washington. Charlie Morton and Patrick Corbin. Man. Patrick Corbin might give up 9 by himself. I'm taking the over in this game, Don. You're welcome, buddy. Gotta go, John. Have a great day. Great stuff, by the way. I appreciate that. I sent Drew an invite to join the Sports Authorities group a few weeks ago. Never joined. Drew, join the Sports Authorities. You'll love it. You can actually be a valuable contributor, I think, to that group. John runs a great group, and it's tightly run. Get to see a lot of shows like this. Plus, John posts a lot of great nostalgic stuff. It's a lot of fun. So, Drew, get that invite from John, or go look up the Sports Authorities in your groups and join. All of you do the same thing. Let's look at tonight's. We already talked about this pretty much, but let's take a quick look at the matchups tonight. The games that matter. Colorado and Chicago already underway, as we know. Milwaukee at Miami. Corbin Burns and JT Chargois. Interesting. There's another team that just keeps pumping out pitchers, and you go, who the hell's that guy? And then he pitches, 6 innings of shutout baseball. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Luis Ortiz against Andrew Abbott. Toronto and Tampa Bay in a big game, as we talked about. Bassett and Glasnow. Arizona at the Yankees. Brandon Fat? I have no idea. Drew. Luke Weaver. How the hell did we get Luke Weaver? Oh, my God. Atlanta at Washington. We talked about Charlie Morton, Patrick Corbin. Bet the over on Corbin alone giving up 9 runs. Mets at the Phillies, McGill and Taijuan Walker, former Met, has had a decent season for the Phillies this year. Baltimore at Cleveland, Kramer and Shane Bieber. The Sox in Boston, pay me to go to that game, and maybe I'll think about it. Toussaint and Chris Sale. Seattle and Texas, the game of the night in my mind, and the games of the weekend and the next weekend. Bryce Miller and Dane Dunning. The Angels in Minnesota, Davis Daniel and Pablo Lopez. Kansas City and Houston, Cole Reagans and Framber Valdez. Detroit at Oakland, again, pay me to go, and you might see me there. It's enough money. Gibson Long against Waldichuk. Cardinals in San Diego, Hudson against Waldron. Giants and the Dodgers, always a fun matchup. Sean Mania and Caleb Ferguson. What do we got here? Reagans versus Valdez. CA is ready with his popcorn and ready to enjoy that game. What do we got? We got just a few minutes left. Let's just see. Did I miss any? Oh, we didn't get any news around town. We talked, Drew brought up the fact that Sean Doolittle retired. I thought he retired like 5 years ago, but that's fine. Just kidding. Max Fried, regular season will end as he's managing blisters. He gave us all the finger, and Drew had a good line there. Sources are the Rays are calling up their top prospect, Junior Caminero. And I do believe he's a top infield prospect. And they want to get some roster depth for this stretch run that will cap one of the best seasons in franchise history, according to this article. And I got to believe, again, he would be eligible if they chose to do so, put him on the postseason roster. Shane Bieber starts tonight. We just talked about his first start since July. I'm not sure why. What's the point? Yankees put Wandy Peralta on the DL. Chicago's top 2 officers say the White Sox game where 2 were shot should have been stopped or delayed. A lot of questions going to come up there. I mean, what I heard was, I'm not even going to go into the way I heard this gun was snuck in the ballpark. But something's got to happen to security measures there. Then they don't even know where the shots come from. Jeez. And then you got, obviously, we got the playoffs starting next week. So we're going to wrap it up here. Good, lively show tonight. Some disagreements, which is always good for the show. Good to have us back on Roku. Mac, if you're still with us, by the way, I will start showing the college football huddle on Roku, but a couple of programming notes. Next Friday and the following Friday, no Are You Serious? I will be on holiday. Mac, I'll probably be able to do your show at least this Friday, if not the following Friday. There'll be no Sunday stream of consciousness. This week we'll have the Sunday stream of consciousness. Probably not on time. We'll do it the following couple of weeks. We'll have to do something on the fly for that show. And for the college football huddle, 1 week, one Wednesday, the first Wednesday in October. I'll keep you guys abreast of that stuff and what we're going to do. Well, you know, I'm going to do shows as I can, as I always do, on the spot. Keep Engle, enjoy this Major League Baseball season. 2 weekends left in the regular season. Then the second season starts with a vengeance. It's going to be fun these next couple of weeks, guys. Have fun. Keep Engle out. You got a comment before I go? There you go. You and me both. Have a great night, guys.